The words came at me like a cheap blade. Ma'am, you need to step away from the bleachers, now. I didn't move. My name is Jasmine Carter, but everyone calls me Jazz. I'm 38. And for 16 years, I've been a federal protection agent, the kind who hunts down fugitives and safeguards witnesses. I've stood in rooms where one wrong twitch meant a bullet to the head. But nothing, prepares you for the humiliation of being targeted in the one place. You thought you were safe watching your 9-year-old nephew, Caleb, play shortstop at Willow Creek Park. It was a perfectly normal Saturday. Caleb, my whole heart, was out there, all gangly legs and determination. I sat 3 rows up, coffee thermos beside me, a little leather briefcase with my whole life in it, including the gold badge resting at my feet. I saw Officer Brock approach out of the corner of my eye, young, bulked up, resting his hand on his weapon like a prop. You see, I'm trained to see everything, and what I saw was a man who'd already written the ending to this story. Ma'am, I'm not going to ask twice, Brock repeated, his voice grating. I finally turned. Good morning, officer, I said, keeping my voice level, the way you speak to a nervous bomb suspect. May I ask what this is about? His eyes skipped over me, cataloging the thermos, my work bag. We received a complaint. ID. Now, I forced a smile. I'm happy to cooperate, officer, but I need to understand the basis for this. Stop, I spat the word out. Loitering. Park rules, no unaccompanied adults.
S.
My eyes flicked to the bright yellow sign at the entrance. Clear as day? No loitering, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I checked my watch, making sure he saw the gesture. Officer, it's 10:15 in the morning. That sign specifies nighttime hours. His jaw tightened, the look of a man whose script had been interrupted. Don't get smart with me, he barked. ID. Now, I had my driver's license out. I'd seen this movie 1,000 times. He wasn't looking for a criminal. He was looking for a reason to exert authority. And my very presence, a black woman, alone, well-dressed, in his park was apparently reason enough. Later, when I pulled the public records, I saw the 911 call from Bethany Flynn. The transcription was damning. It was a black woman alone at the bleachers, staring at the children. She's done nothing illegal, but I feel unsafe. That right there, that's the entire plot of this country. Your feeling of being unsafe becomes my immediate criminal threat. Suddenly, a second cruiser rolled up. Out stepped Sergeant Wells, older, crisper uniform, the kind of guy who weaponizes procedure. Brock was running my license. You could hear him radioing it in, loud enough for every parent around to hear. Copy. I have a black female, Jasmine Carter, running for wants and warrants. It was pure theater. Performance policing? Wells didn't even look at me. What's the situation, Brock? Suspicious person, call Sergeant. Subject is uncooperative, questioning the legitimacy of the stop. I opened my mouth, ready to correct his intentional lie, but Wells cut me off. Ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us for questioning. Am I being detained? I asked using the precise legal terminology they couldn't wiggle out of. We're conducting an investigation, Wells replied, maddeningly neutral. It's not an answer. Am I free to leave? The radio crackled back. Unit 12, Subject Carter has no wants or warrants. Record is clear. For a split second, I thought it was over. But instead, Brock stepped into my space, pushing me into what my tactical training calls the intimidation zone. You're coming with us, he said. End of story. On what grounds? I have a clean record, and my presence is lawful. Wells delivered the verdict. Obstruction. The crime wasn't loitering. The crime was refusing to be humiliated quietly. Then Caleb was there. He'd run off the field, cleats kicking up dust. Auntie Jazz. What's wrong? What's happening? It's okay, baby. Just a misunderstanding, I whispered. But my voice was ice when I turned back to Wells. Don't speak to him. It was the first time I let the authority leak into my tone. And Brock's eyes narrowed. I reached slowly for my pocket. My phone was buzzing. It was Agent Chen, my supervisor, calling for our scheduled check-in. Missing that check-in meant an immediate, aggressive response from the feds, Officer, this is my employer. If I don't answer, they'll assume something is wrong. You can call them back from the station. Wells dismissed. I announced my actions clearly, creating a verbal record. I am retrieving my phone. I am not resisting or fleeing. I'm exercising my right to contact my employer. I almost had it out when Brock's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. His grip was tight, painful, designed to force compliance. I said, "Don't." He repeated, "You're hurting me. Please release my wrist." Instead, he yanked the phone from my grasp. The sound of my new phone hitting the asphalt was sickening. That was my connection to the outside world. Gone. That was an unlawful seizure, I told him, perfectly calm despite the rage starting to burn. I was not under arrest. That property was taken by force. But by then, the crowd was watching, recording. The narrative was set, black woman being arrested. I told Caleb I loved him, told him Auntie Jazz would be home tonight, and got into the patrol car. I didn't say another word. They had the mic on. Everything I said would be twisted. Better to let them build their case on lies. I was cataloging everything, the time, the color of the stitching on Wells' vest, the way Brock kept typing into his laptop. Subject displayed hostile behavior from initial contact. Refused to comply with lawful orders, rewriting history. Word by word at the precinct, the booking area smelled like stale coffee and fear. They had me empty my pockets. Keys, wallet, protein bar. And then my leather work bag. The desk sergeant, a tired-looking man named Frank, moved through the contents, and then he found it. The small, worn leather case. "What's this?" I kept my voice neutral. "Personal item." Frank opened it. Time froze. The gold star, visible through the plastic window, and the federal ID beneath it. Federal Protection Agent Jasmine Carter. Fugitive Apprehension Unit. Frank's eyes went from the badge to my face, then back again. I watched Sergeant Wells, who'd been leaning over the counter, go utterly pale. His hand went reflexively to his collar. "I'll need to catalog this," Frank said, his voice dropping to a nervous whisper. "Let's move this along," Wells cut in quickly, recovering his composure. "Interview room." They marched me away. Frank closed the case and set it aside, without logging it in the evidence sheet. That, right there, was evidence suppression. They knew they'd just arrested a Fed, and they were trying to pretend they hadn't seen the badge. They slapped the cuffs on me too tight. Pain compliance, even though I was complying. It didn't matter. I recited my Miranda rights, perfectly, professionally, without hesitation. I am invoking my right to remain silent. I request an attorney. I do not consent to any searches of my person or property. Brock stared at me. "How the hell do you know that?" He muttered. I just smiled as they locked me in the cell. I listened to the chaos outside. Agent Chen was calling my phone repeatedly from the DOJ. Frank was sweating. Wells was on the phone with Captain Marsh, who was instantly annoyed to be pulled from her Saturday. They had isolated me, taken my communications, and thought they had one, but they didn't know about the pen. Clipped to my shirt collar. Disguised as a writing implement was a state-of-the-art recording device. I've carried it for 12 years, protocol for field work. Since the moment Officer Brock said, "You need to step away." Every single word had been recorded, time-stamped, digitized, and uploaded to a secure cloud server. The entire encounter, the false charges, the phone seizure, the excessive force, the recitation of my rights was safe, preserved in 3 separate locations. They controlled the written narrative. I controlled the undeniable audio truth. Asterisk 5 days later, I sat across from Investigator Monroe from the County Oversight Board. Sergeant Wells was in the room. 2. A courtesy meant to control the narrative. I started by placing the badge on the table. Monroe's eyes widened. "Deputy Whitmore, I mean Agent Carter. These are serious claims. They're facts," I replied. I reached into my bag and pulled out the pen recorder. Illinois is a one-party consent state. I activated this the moment Officer Brock approached. Monroe leaned forward. "Play it." The audio filled the room. Brock's escalating aggression, my calm, procedural voice, the sickening crack of my phone hitting the asphalt. When it ended, Wells was sheet white. The officer's report states you became argumentative, Monroe noted. Everything in their report about my behavior is false, I confirmed. The audio proves it. But if you'd like additional verification, Officer Brock was wearing a body-worn camera. His footage will show the same events from his perspective. I've already requested it. Then I pulled out the 911 logs. This isn't just about me. This is about a pattern. I clicked to a graph showing 18 months of data. 43 out of 47 suspicious person calls to that park described black individuals. 0 described white subjects. It then exposed the rot. The security firm Parkwatch Inc., owned by Councilman Desmond Cole, is paid per incident response. I displayed the correlation graph. As calls increased, so did Councilman Cole's revenue. He built a profit scheme on the foundation of discriminatory harassment. The following week, the county council meeting was packed. The news cameras were running. Bethany Flynn, the 911 caller, tried to defend herself, claiming she felt unsafe. I approached the mic. "You wanted to make me leave," I said, my voice rising, not shouting, but ringing with controlled passion. "You didn't, and I'm not leaving now. None of us are." Agent Chen, my supervisor, stood up in the crowd, her authority filling the room. "The Federal Protection Service has referred this matter to the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division." This became a federal case the moment Agent Carter was illegally detained. The room erupted. It was a victory. Within days, Investigator Monroe announced his findings. Officer Brock and Sergeant Wells suspended without pay. Captain Marsh's early retirement accepted. The city contract with Parkwatch Inc. suspended immediately. Caleb and I went back to the park the next Saturday. He fielded a grounder and smiled, a genuine, untainted smile. That was my real victory. But that night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text was simple. The audit named 6 more parks. How far are you willing to go? I stared at the screen. Someone was helping me, or threatening me. And there was one more thing. The department claimed 10 crucial minutes of Officer Brock's body camera footage. Right after he seized my phone was corrupted and missing. Evidence doesn't just disappear. It's disappeared by someone with authority. This wasn't over. They wanted to teach me a lesson about knowing my place. Instead, I had all the evidence I needed to take down the entire system. I opened a new document and began typing a formal request to the Department of Justice for a full pattern and practice investigation into the entire police district. I'm an agent. I know how to wait, watch, and hunt. And I won't stop until justice is served for every family harassed in this city. But I need to know what you think. What's the ultimate cost of fighting injustice? I faced 2 officers, but I was really fighting a system built on one person's subjective feeling of being unsafe. When does feeling unsafe become an excuse for racial profiling and abuse of power? Is a controversial victory that forces change better than a quiet, complete loss? Let me know in the comments below. What is the worst case of social bias or mistaken judgment you've ever witnessed? And what did you do about it? Like and subscribe if you want to follow this investigation. Because trust me, this story is far from over.